There's this weird thing going on right now where Sweden all of a sudden is not a problem. Sweden doesn't have any problems at all with refugees. Wait, what? I was in Sweden. I was at the place where CBS reporters got into a fight over their camera. We had to leave because our security pushed us out before as they said, as we got into the car, we were minutes away from a riot because we were even there. And somebody else, Ami Horowitz, he was doing a documentary and he got into a fight in the same exact place. Sweden is in horrible shape. President Trump makes some weird statement in the press conference about what happened in Sweden last night. There was nothing that happened in Sweden last night. But now, instead of just correcting that problem, the press is suddenly defending Sweden as this utopia for refugees. It's the furthest thing from it. Ami Horowitz, the guy I think that started all of this, joins us right now. Ami is a good friend of the program and a documentary filmmaker, and he was over in Sweden. He did the Stockholm Syndrome, which is a short documentary that everybody should watch because it is absolutely the truth of what is happening over in Sweden. Ami, welcome to the program.
It's a real pleasure to be back, Glenn.
Yeah. Now, so Ami, are you the guy who Donald Trump was talking about? Do you know?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Hey, can you tell what happened? What's really going on here?
Are we talking about Sweden or are we talking about the whole controversy?
Let's talk about the controversy.
Well, so what happened was I came out with this video, Stockholm Syndrome, that you teased before, and it came out about 2 months ago and did fairly well, got a fair amount of press, did a few million digital views, about typical of what my videos do. And then a month and a half passes, and Tucker Carlson from Fox News, who has wanted to have me on as a guest, said, hey, he was talking about Sweden as an example of the problems that refugees are facing in terms of integration within countries. And he said, hey, why don't you come on, let's talk about the video. I said, great. So we talk about the video, no problem. Saturday night, I'm at a bar mitzvah, and my phone starts to blow up. And I'm like, what is going on? And people are telling me it seems like the president just referenced your interview with Tucker Carlson. I said, that sounds interesting. And I heard what the president said. It sounded a little bit weird. It could be interpreted in a couple of different ways. And if you are negative against the president, you could interpret it that he was making up some terror attack. If you have more sympathies toward the president, you would say, well, he was really referring, we said last night, to the interview. He just kind of stumbled on his words, which he's apt to do. And all of a sudden, man, this becomes this global international scandal that I find myself in the middle of this maelstrom. It's absolutely insane.
Now, it's insane because now let's talk about the documentary. Ami, I was there a year ago doing a documentary on exactly the same thing. Sweden is one of the greatest countries, I think, in the world. It is wildly socialist, but it's pretty easy to be socialist when it's as homogenized as Sweden is. Everybody looks the same. Everybody, comes from the same background, et cetera, et cetera. So there's no real strife in Sweden historically. But they have prided themselves in being the healers of the world. They're just a different group of people. And I love them for this. The problem is they give free housing, free clothing, free food, free everything to any refugee. Free cash. And so the refugees are pouring into Sweden. And I was in those no-go zones. I stood at that same strip mall where you were assaulted, and I was almost assaulted, and 60 Minutes was...
Liar. There are no no-go zones.
No, I know.
Hurt in these places.
I know.
That's what I'm hearing all day long from Swedes.
I know. And what's interesting is you were in your documentary, you have the audio, because they told you to turn the cameras off, and you wisely did. But then, like the bull in a china shop that you are, you stayed and just started asking the simple question, why? What is the problem with filming here? And they beat you up, and It's all on tape.
Yep.
Then what's amazing is you spoke to the Swedes afterwards, and they all say there's no problem.
That's the most amazing, and that's now considering I got my butt kicked, I still found that last part of the video where I interviewed Swedes, and they deny any problem. Maybe the most troubling aspect of this whole thing
Yes.
is that they are the self-denial. It borders on the pathological. They are doing whatever they can to avoid the reality of the truth. And if that means make up fake statistics, they'll make them up. If that means to say that you weren't beat up, that's what they're going to say. Their narrative of being a humanitarian superpower is something, they're so proud of it, they'll come up with these happy stats, right? Happy stats. We're all good. Everything is good. And just deny the reality on the ground. And it's sad. It's confounding. And they're trying to do the right thing. Don't get me wrong. They're trying to reach out and do this selfless act of humanity. But like the saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished, and boy, are they being punished.
Yeah, no, I will tell you that this is why I love the Swedes so much. They have a different attitude. They really do believe that they are the, America sees itself as the savior of the world. We march in and we take care of things. They see themselves as the beachhead of the hospital of the world that takes in all of those who are, having some sort of problem and brings them to their shores and heals them. But it's not what's happening. And listen to the amount of denial to the country which has now become the rape capital of the world. Listen to the people from the Ami Horowitz documentary.
His first
Stockholm
Islamic
Syndrome.
terrorist attack.
Here it is.
Do you think the sexual assault problem is an Islamic problem or not really?
No. I think it's a general problem among men.
Yeah, the problem isn't like this culture or that culture. The problem is male culture.
I don't think the immigrants is the problem.
No, it's not. That's just a tiny bit of the problem. And when that happens, it's because we didn't bring them in the right way.
And I don't see that connection at all.
It's our fault.
I would very much like to see the evidence of such a connection.
Do you think it's almost racist to make that connection?
Yes, I think so.
That's unbelievable. How did we not bring them in the right way? And that caused them to rape?
We didn't give them enough money or housing or food or clothing or education.
Is that what? Do you think that's what he was actually saying? Is that this Sweden didn't give them enough?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible.
Now, there are parts of Sweden where, and we were there. I was at that. I was at the scene of the riots at that police station where you were at. And Ami, I don't know if you got this. I'm sure you did. But as soon as we got out of the media truck, because we were white, there was an immediate stop on the street. I mean, I've never felt so uncomfortable so fast as I did in that location. And that's before I went to that little strip mall.